channel. This is Media Week.
Hello, welcome to the program. Ahead, Fairfax finds a buyer for its regional radio stations, but can it sell the remainder? InStyle's Twitter party for the Kardashian wedding, how much interest did it generate? And we'll get the view of production houses on the ABC outsourcing row and other issues facing the industry. We'll be joined by Steve Oemke from WTFN. First though, it's that time of year when all the focus turns to the TV ad rate negotiations for 2012, or does it? So what kind of increase do the networks want, and what will advertisers actually be prepared to spend, and do these negotiations actually have any relevance anymore? With all the answers, we're joined as always by our co-host James Manning, the editor and publisher of Mediaweek. James, great to see you as always.
Hi, Bridie.
Now, the focus on the TV ad rate negotiations seems to happen this time every year, obviously for 2012. What do the networks want?
Well, they're all looking for a bit of an increase, and everybody loves talking it up this time of year. We had Nick Keenan on a couple of weeks ago, and we spoke to him about it. His agency don't do a calendar year deal, so they negotiate for a financial year. So the agencies that do, yeah, they're starting to talk. As I said, all the networks are hoping for a price rise. 7, you talk to people, is the only network that seems guaranteed because their strength this year. They're looking for around maybe 7 or 8%. 9's been talking about 5%. Some people say, yeah, look, they're dreaming after their performance this year. Sure, they've had a couple of highlights like the block. For next year, they'll be able to sort of monetise the Olympic, say, 3-week period. That should do well for them. But the rest of the year, advertisers are going to be very wary. 10's even making some noises about price rises too. They've had a really tough year, so you'd think they'd be very lucky to get that away. What this could mean is that the negotiations will go on for a long time. Sort of any final deals will be quite late in the calendar year.
Do the deals have that much relevance anymore, given all the extra channels and all the other deals that are done, including online content? Because
all that extra channels maybe, is a nice bonus for some of the advertisers that commit the big dollars up front. Then they can, the channels have a bit more leeway now with these other brands. They have 7 Mate 7-2 or Go, Gem, 11 and 1. They can sort of shape packages that appeal a bit more perhaps to the advertisers.
So I guess, though, the reports of what the networks are possibly going to get a sign of the state of the industry, the fact that, advertisers are still a bit wary?
Yeah, I mean, the market's sort of flat. Some say it's actually down, so at best it's flat. So, going into negotiations in that climate, it's going to be very hard for the channels to talk up their price rises.
Now, we've been getting some more schedule details for 2012. SBS, the latest. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Go back to where you came from. Big hit for them this year. They've commissioned another series of that. Tour de France is back, of course. So probably their highest rating bit of programming over a fortnight. They've got that tied up, I think, till 2017. So that'll be a highlight. Food's going to be big for them. Food series about Sri Lanka. Luke Nguyen's going to take a trip around Vietnam, so they'll be sort of the highlights. So we've heard from SBS, we've heard from 7, we've heard from 10, of course, which went first. The ABC's unveiling theirs in the last week of November. 9 will probably be around that same time. We haven't got a date yet, but I wouldn't mind betting they actually might go last, because they'll try and talk it up. Look, we've saved the best till last.
We also heard from Astra as well, talking about the amount that subscription TV channels and platforms are spending on local content.
Sure, yeah, up 7% this year, about $578 million. So it's a big spend. I think the year before was about 540. You've got to remember, though, that includes everything they do, whether it be news, sports coverage, and also things like drama, reality shows.
All right, let's just stay with that theme and the outlook for content investment by broadcasters and all the wider issues for the production industry, given the row over ABC outsourcing of production. We're joined by Steve Oemke, the Director of Production and Development at television production house WTFN from Melbourne. Steve, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for chatting to us. Firstly, you've got some news for us about a new executive appointment.
We do indeed, yeah, Bridie, and hello to you and hello to James as well. Yeah, look, we've managed to secure the services of Peter Newman, who's currently Head of Production and Development at SBS, And Pete's going to join us at the end of this month to tackle a similar role at WTFN, being the head of production and development with us. So it's been a great get for us. We've known Pete since he's arrived in the country from the UK a few years ago, and incredibly talented, creative person, and we're just really happy to have him on the team.
Steve, you guys are picking on SBS a little bit. I know Matt Campbell, they lost him, he went to Shine. Now you've taken their head of news and production. What's the climate that sort of leads you to sort of ramp up your staffing levels?
Yeah, look, and obviously, you know, coincidental. I mean, you always go after who you think will be the best person for the job, and you know, there's no doubt that SBS is certainly cultivating some incredibly talented people. Yeah, look, I think for us, you know, we had the development deal discussed with, announced with Discovery going back a few months now. That's led to a lot more production for WTFN. We've got production going into SBS. We've got a batch of new production on Foxtel this year. And I guess, you know, as we've kind of grown and taken those organic steps to become a bigger company, it's been important for us to secure the right people to kind of run the departments within WTFN. So I've traditionally been head of development and production, and Pete's going to step into that role, so I'll move into director of programs. That allows me to work with Darryl to help kind of shape the future of the company a little bit more, rather than spending so much time on the day-to-day programs.
Steve, just before we get into some other topics of interest for WTFN, I did just want to also ask about some wider issues. Obviously, the ABC outsourcing issue going on, and I just wanted to bring James in on this as well. The report into ABC outsourcing being tabled in Parliament. I mean, what do you think? Could there be any ramifications from this at all? Could we see the ABC forced to bring back production staff or take back in and do more production in-house?
I doubt it very much. I think the model they've got now probably works well. You know, they have a certain amount of production in-house. They might be some sort of safeguards. Look, we want to maintain these levels. We don't want that to drop any further. But I think it's a model that works well for them. It brings in, you know, outside companies, do some great work. As we've said before, some of their highest rating shows are outsourced. But still, they have their own, you know, production facilities there, like for their news and current affairs and stuff like that.
And Steve, if we could sort of bring you in on this as well, because obviously a lot of the production companies have been saying that they think ABC outsourcing is actually a good thing. If we could get your views on this as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, it's always going to be a delicate balancing act, trying to sort of balance your internal workforce versus outsourcing production. Of course, I mean, we employ the same people for outsourced production as they do for internal production, the same types of people. And in fact, you know, given the changes in at ABC, I've already fielded a few inquiries through WTFN of people looking for additional work. So, I mean, look, it's definitely a delicate balancing act, and when it comes up, it's always going to spark some interest, and next thing it'll end up becoming a discussion in Parliament. But you know, it's important that the workforce in television in Australia is spread between the sort of the public sector and the private sector through companies like ours. So you know, I think it is going to continue to be pulling from both pools, and just them trying to balance and get that act right.
Steve, tell us a little bit about your business model. I mean, you're known for a lot of brand-funded content. You've got up things. I think Mercurio's Menu is one probably most people will be pretty familiar with. Is that good in a climate where there's lots more channel options for people?
Yeah, look, I mean, our company started, I mean, I've been in telly for 20 years, and Darryl, my business partner, has been in telly for 30 years. So our heritage has gone a long way back, further than branded. But when we started the company, we saw a real opportunity to you know, where dollars were becoming thinner with the television networks, to bring brands cash in to make entertaining programs. And so, you know, that equation certainly is not going to go back the other way. And I think that, you know, and you see other production companies like Fremantle starting to take the branded space a bit more seriously. As far as we're concerned, that's great for that particular part of the industry, because it helps legitimise it, it helps improve the quality of what's on offer for branded television. So, you know, and particularly with the advent of the digital channels, there's a lot of channels in the marketplace now, and there's not much more cash. In fact, you'd argue, you know, potentially less cash with other competitors to the television space. So people like us engaging brands to do shows on the digital platform is a really big opportunity. We've just had one roll out called Shannon Supercar Showdown, and we just had a team race at Bathurst. Didn't perform brilliantly, I might add, putting it into the wall a little bit too early. But that was kind of the adjunct of a branded entertainment program, and there is a huge opportunity there.
I wanted to ask you, Bondi Vet, obviously another production that you'd be very well known for. Looking at, I guess, the international side of the business as well, Dr. Chris Brown obviously getting very well known, seeing success overseas as well. I mean, is this something that's crucially important to your business as well, those international sales, getting funding from offshore too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we're really proud of the fact that, you know, we're one of 3 companies around the world that Discovery International signed a deal with, and that's really important for the international growth of our business. I mean, Australia is a small market at the end of the day. It's probably one of the most you know, successful markets at the moment, or the one that's doing better than a lot of other countries. But it is still a small market, and so having those opportunities internationally with the Discovery deal, you know, we're in kind of fairly late discussions with one of their networks in the UK over a new program, and you know, we've just recently also announced a new head of international co-productions, a guy called Sean Gilmartin, who's a well-regarded EP out of the UK. And it is important because at the end of the day, if you can pull some money from the UK together with a pot of cash from Australia to make a TV program, for us, we're still getting to make the same TV show. It's just that when there's less cash available potentially here, you've just got to bring a couple of networks together.
I think your business partner Daryl was over at MIPCOM probably just last week. Just tell us quickly a little bit about the market and how important that is for you guys.
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, we started, I've just recently had a baby, so didn't make this year's market for the first time in about 10 markets. But, you know, it was an eye-opening experience for us the very first time that we went to MIP to realise, wow, you know, there is this massive industry of television around the world and how much there is to it. And I think that what it did is it helped us shift what we were doing domestically, so that everything that we were doing domestically, rather than just having a kind of very sort of parochial, localised view to it, what we were doing was going, OK, well, let's develop something locally, but let's try and make sure it's something that's got international appeal as well. And Bondi Vet was the very first example of that, and you know, it's been definitely a great success here for 10, but it's been one of the highest rating shows for the year on Animal Planet in the UK. It sold through Europe, so it's done incredibly well as well. Keeping Up with the Joneses was the second program that kind of fits that bill, and a whole bunch of stuff we're currently doing over here with Tony Robinson, the same type of philosophy behind that. OK, just tell us then, what should we look out for next year for you guys? What are some of your priorities? Yeah, look, next year is going to be a great year for WTFN. We've got some great projects coming up on the History Channel with Foxtel. We started that relationship last year with them, with Tony Robinson Explores Australia, which was the highest rating program in the history of the History Channel. So creating history for the History Channel is always good. So we're doing some more with Tony Robinson next year. We've got a series called Tony Robinson Time Walker, and we're also doing a one-off on the Olympics with him because it's in his own backyard. We're doing a series with, a one-off with Warren Brown called Lost and Found, dealing with archives. So we've got some great projects there. We've got a big one coming up on SBS called Bollywood Star, which is in the vein of a kind of elimination and reality series, but kind of done the SBS way. So it's looking at Indian culture within Australia, but it's actually celebrating that culture, and basically it'll reduce the field down to 6 candidates that'll go over to India and basically perform in front of a director for a role in a Bollywood film. So that one will be incredibly exciting, and they're well underway with that now.
Steve, we were just talking to James a bit earlier about the outlook for ad spending next year being pretty flat. What are your expectations for spending on content by the broadcasters? Do you think that we'll see a pickup, or are they pretty wary at the moment?
Look, I mean, you know, there's no doubt that the market continues to be tough just by fact of the volume of channels and prospects for the advertiser's dollar. So they're definitely becoming more thrifty and shrewd in the way that they spend money. But I mean, you know, we've got the kind of commission side of our business and the branded side. So and the commission side has been increasing for us, but that's where the branded opportunity exists. Before 6 p.m, they don't really like to spend money on shows. So if you can find the right fit with the right brand, there's a lot of opportunity. So if all you're looking at is the commissioned cash pot from the networks, you know, it's probably a little bit thinner, but the opportunities outside of that are massive.
Steve, it's been great to talk to you today. Thanks so much for coming on the program.
No worries at all. Thanks a lot, Bridie. Thanks, James.
Steve O'Emke there from WTFN. Stay with us. Coming up on the program, the Twitter party for Kim Kardashian's fairy tale wedding, and Nine gets serious about its Rugby World Cup coverage.